Hey y'all, Zylria here. So this morning I filmed a video, a garden tour video, hence why I'm in my backyard. And I went to edit it and I realized that there is not a stitch of sound, like not one sound on the whole video. In the middle there's some sounds, but that's about it. So I'm gonna refilm that video for you guys today. I know that I've been gone for a long time. I haven't been doing much as in the way of videos or content creation at all. But really that just kind of stems from the fact that I just haven't been I haven't been playing games. And since I'm not playing games, I don't have any gaming content to do, you know? Instead, I've been focusing on my family, on work, on going to school, and gardening, really. I spent the spring and the winter, even the end of winter, ever since about Christmas of last year, researching and planning out my garden for this year. So I'm pretty excited to, be gardening. And the more videos, the more content that I watch around people making gardening videos, I decided that I was like, I miss you guys so much, and I just want to be around for you guys and spend time with you and talk to you and show you things and answer comments and everything, that I was like, I should just try making some gardening videos. So I live in Wyoming. I'm in zone 4, and so we have a very short gardening season. This year, our last frost date was at the end of May, beginning of June. So it was supposed to be like Memorial Day weekend. And I planted a lot of my stuff out that weekend. But then we got a frost towards the beginning of June. And then we didn't. So then there were a couple of things that died. And I didn't put everything out. Like, I had brought stuff out to harden off, and I had to keep bringing it back into the garage and then bringing it back out and then putting it back in the garage. And so I think everything was pretty much planted out about the second week of June. So I want to say like June 7th or 8th, that weekend, everything was pretty much planted out. And so I wish you guys had seen the beginning of my garden. I wish I had thought to do this sooner, but you guys can see the end, like my garden this year, and then kind of going into the fall garden, and we'll just kind of do it together. But again, I love you guys, and let's get into the tour. Okay, so we're starting on my back patio. It is about 2 p.m. On a Sunday, and so I'll get started with showing you my back patio and all of my gardening space back here. Please don't mind the weeds. We haven't mowed. We've been on vacation. We've been gone. I haven't mowed or weeded in a while, so no judgment. So this are my garden planters, my patio planters. You can see in here that I have some lemongrass planted as well as some lavender. I planted these both this year and last year because they were recommended as mosquito repellent. I don't think they work that well, but they are pretty. And for mulch, we use grass clippings. We don't spray our grass with anything, and so it's a nice way to use the clippings that we have, as well as creating some nutrients and some soil cover for the ground. You can see that they work really well. Hopefully you can see that. So the dirt in here is really moist, and these haven't been watered for a few days. It rained a couple of days ago, and it's still moist almost all the way to the top. And so in this one, I have the lavender and the lemongrass I purchased. The lavender, if you guys follow my Instagram, it was some of the plants that I saved on clearance. So this was $2. It had already flowered, and then we got that frost that I was telling you guys about at the beginning of the video, and everything died. And so then they were selling it on clearance for $2, and I brought it back to life, and now it's beautiful. And then these flowers were also saved. Sorry, I'm just deadheading some of this stuff. And then I was about to call these carnations. Oh my gosh, the marigolds. I started all of these from seed. And they were really successful this year. This is the first year that I've ever started. I started almost everything from seed, and you'll see that there's a lot of stuff, even though I started it from seed, I ended up buying things because I had some issues at the beginning of the garden season. But all of these planters are pretty similar. And then this is the green stock that I got for Christmas, oh my goodness, that I got for Mother's Day. It had been advertised a lot by a lot of the YouTubers that I follow, and I just wanted to test it out, so that's what I asked for Mother's Day. It doesn't stay nearly as moist as I thought that it would. You know, it's still wet, kind of deep down in here, but it has to be watered a lot. All of the reviews I've read said not to mulch on the inside, and I just don't know if that's, like, maybe it's where I have it placed or what, but I feel like I have to water it a lot. And so in the top, I have my extra peppers that I didn't plant in the other areas of my garden, and they're doing really well. These are sweet snacking peppers, and I saved the seeds to plant these from a box of organic snacking, or a bag of organic snacking peppers that I got at the store, and then I just saved the seeds and planted them. And then this is some stevia, so I have herbs, peppers, lettuces, and strawberries in this. And so you can see, like, these are getting really big. I'm pretty excited to taste them for the first time. And then I have a whole bunch of strawberries in here, some lettuces. These are about ready to harvest. The strawberries aren't doing great. I think part of it has to do with the watering, but some of it is just that they're first year strawberries. Oh gosh, I'm gonna pull this weed. I don't know how that even got down there. And then my extra broccoli I planted in here too, which it hasn't grown much. I think that it's just really stunted because this is kind of in full sun. I also have some lemon balm right down here, and then this is parsley, and then I also have some peppermint right here. Over here are matching planters, so it has more of the marigolds, the lemongrass, the same white flowers, which I think that these are petunias. This is another flower that I got on clearance when they were dying at Walmart. And then these are my potatoes. This one flowered a couple of weeks ago, and you can see that the leaves are starting to die back, so it will be ready to harvest pretty soon. This one we already harvested, and then this one is getting ready to flower, and so is that one. And so it'll be a little while on those. I do have some squash growing up here. And then I just planted some more pole beans, a second thing of pole beans up here. And I'm hoping that they'll go up this trellis nicely. My pole beans didn't do very well in the other area that I planted them, so I'm hoping that they'll do better here. And then this side of our garden, which I'm on my patio right now, and I'll just do a round video real quick. And so we have this planter that goes along the house and then all the way along the fence, and you can see we have an arched trellis right here. And then there's a spigot back there. And then all along here we have a cattle panel trellis. And then I have a raised bed over here. The raised bed is all I had. This is only my second year gardening. And the raised bed over here is all I had last year, plus a few planters on the patio. And then I expanded this year to add several more planters, the green stock, and then all of this along the fence. And so let's go over here. Most of this is vegetables and flowers, but over here I don't have a lot of edible stuff. So there's a few bushes that we planted. This bush survived last year, but I moved it this year, so I'm hoping it'll overwinter again, but I can't be sure. And then this was my first zinnia that flowered, and it's about dead now. And then the other two back here are getting ready to flower. Oh, a ladybug. Well, that's a good and a bad sign. The good sign is that I love having ladybugs in my garden. So there's one right here and there's one right there. The bad thing is that if there's ladybugs here, that means that the aphids are in here. And so there's ladybugs in here. And so that must mean that the aphids have started laying eggs if there's this many ladybugs in my garden. Oh my gosh, look, there's tons of them. And so ladybugs eat aphids. And so ladybugs are great to have in your garden, but it also means that you probably have aphids. So I can't remember what this white and green plant is called, but it's just like a ground cover that the previous owners of this house planted all in this planter. And you can see that it's kind of in the grass too, and that's because this planter used to come way out into the grass. If we're in this house another year, I'll probably pull out the majority of this grass back here and plant a bigger garden. And then these are violas, and these are actually like a native weed in my area. A lot of people like plant those in other areas, but they're just like native weeds in my area, so they're just like back here. This flower right here is one that I also really like. I have a couple of white and purple ones, which I can't remember what this is called, dang it. But I have a couple of those planted over on the other side. But this other one right here is one of my favorite flowers, and it's a bleeding heart, and this is the pink version. And this was actually planted here by the previous owner, and it just comes back every year. The first couple of years we were here, we never noticed it. And then last year when we started to do stuff back here, this just popped up, and it's one of my favorite plants. And I actually from the greenhouse got several more, and I've planted them all over now. And this is a very well established and big one. They start out quite small. These yellow flowers that you're seeing in here, these are all my bok choy, baby bok choy that went to seed. I didn't even get to harvest them. The weather got really weird, and they just went to seed and flowered right away. And they're actually quite beautiful, and the pollinators really like them, so I've just kind of left them. I'm kind of hoping that the seeds will actually drop, and the bok choy may actually come back in the fall, and then I may actually get to harvest it. So I'm excited to see. There's a couple of strawberries right over here. I planted those for my raised bed, like I moved them last fall because I knew that I was going to want to move. I didn't want to keep the strawberries where they were at. The problem though is they haven't flowered at all, so I don't know if they're not getting enough sun or what's going on over here. This is a wisteria flower that my daughter picked out at the greenhouse. She really wanted it. And then here's some kale, and there's some more of that bok choy that's gone to seed. It actually is very pretty. This is salvia from last year. Kale, we've got some daisies in here, some more kale. This back here is celery. And so it's starting to stalk pretty nicely. And so we'll be able to eat some of that soon. I've heard that celery tastes a lot different when you get it in, when you grow it than it does when you buy it in the store. So I'm kind of excited to see the difference. This is one of those bleeding hearts right here. I'm pretty sure that it's white. Ooh, a bumblebee. Look. Look at our little bumblebee friend. Oh, I love seeing pollinators in the garden. So there's celery right here, and then this right here is a bleeding heart. I'm pretty sure it's white. It hasn't flowered yet. And then this is borage. And then there's some blue salvia back here. And then this is another white bleeding heart and some more salvia. This is a dahlia. It hasn't flowered yet, but let's see. It is the Mystic Sparkler Dahlia, and it's supposed to be orange and pink, so I'm excited to see if that comes up. I have some beans that I planted in here, but they haven't really done much. You can see that a couple of them have just started to come up, and this is maybe my third sowing of beans. And this is a tomato that's not doing very well. And then this is a dahlia that opened just a couple of days ago. It's so pretty. I think that those might be some of my new favorite flowers. And then this is a purple broccoli that I'm going to have to harvest today. You can see that the pods are starting to open, like to flower. And so I'm going to harvest that today and cook it up for dinner. And which will actually be really good because back here I have some bush beans and they're just not doing very well. I think that like they're fine, but they're just not getting enough sun. And I think that if I take this broccoli out, they'll get a lot of sun and it'll be much better. Okay, and then here are my sugar pie pumpkins. So I have these going up this trellis, which let me back up just a little bit. And you can kind of see them here. And so they have all of these vines right here. And they're just really pretty. I freaking love vining plants. Like, I love vining plants so much. And this is the first year that I've grown pumpkins. I think I said at the beginning of the video that this is only my second year of gardening. And some of the things that are out here I've grown before. Some of them I saved seeds for last year. But a lot of the stuff out here is stuff I've never grown before. So like the broccoli, never grown it before. I've never grown dahlias before. Last year, I only had one carrot seed survive. Oh, these are rose thorns that keep coming in I have roses in the back behind this trellis because I just can't get rid of them. Like, roses are really nice, but they're not my favorite flower because they're thorny and I just don't like them that much. And so I pulled the roses out, like I dug them up, but they keep sprouting again. Like, the roots are so hardy and they like resprout and resprout. But yeah, so I'm gonna kind of tie this pumpkin up here and just try to get it to see how it has these, like, let me see if I can get the camera, like little loops. And I'm just gonna tie it around here and try to get it to, oh, here, let me try again. And so it has these like little curls. And if you can get the curls to wind a couple times around, it actually will stay tied up pretty good. See? And now it's there. Cool. And then I've got several peas, which, like, see, the pea pods are coming on really nicely. The flowers, these are a really pretty flower. I don't remember if these are, no, the sugar daddies are over here. And so what variety is this? These are the green beauties with the pink flowers. And then these yellow ones are the sugar snap. These white flowers are the sugar snaps. And then these ones right here are the sugar daddies, which I'm pretty sure that they have green red pods. And then this is another zinnia that's finally starting to open up. And this is another dahlia that's going to be purple. Down here I have a whole bunch of carrots. And then you can see this dahlia is opening up. Ugh, I just love dahlias. No wonder so many people grow them. And over here are my sugar baby watermelons. This one I hand pollinated earlier today. So I'm hoping that it'll actually set fruit. None of the other ones down the line actually set because I didn't have any male flowers. And then this is that pink flower that we saw over there that I have it in blue and purple. And then I've got some salvia over here, some nasturtiums, and then some peppers. And then, let's see. So this over here, this tall one, is my spaghetti squash. And then these are butternut squash. And then there's some onions in here, catnip. Ooh. This one's going to flower tomorrow, I think, open up tomorrow. But the male flowers aren't ready, so hopefully they'll hurry up and get ready today so that we can pollinate that, or it can get pollinated. This is some lemon squash. And then both of these are yellow gold, I think. Max is yellow gold or something. I didn't have a very good success with my tomatoes this year. You see how wilty they are? My watering in here is consistent. They're mulched. They have full sun. And so I think that there's an issue with the compost, honestly. If any of you guys follow Roots and Refuge, Jess kind of talked about that for a while. But what I have experienced is a little bit different than hers. Not everything died, but a lot of stuff did. So When I first started this garden, I had somebody bring in, because we don't have a truck, I had somebody bring in some city compost, which is usually pretty good, and we filled all of this area with city compost. Then I went to the big box store and I got some a mix of mushroom and cow compost, bagged organic mushroom cow compost. And then I got some potting soil and I filled this whole thing up because it was like a good, I don't know how deep that is, but like about 8 inches or so that we had to fill up. And so I did that with the whole thing, and I started all of my tomatoes from seed. And this whole row right here was all tomatoes. So I have 4 tomatoes up on the raised bed, and then I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 or 16 tomatoes on this row. And I planted a whole bunch of different varieties right here along this trellis, okay? Then what happened was slowly they started to die. So they died starting on this side first. And obviously these aren't tomatoes, so this right here is like my cucumbers, but they started to die here first slowly. And I was like, okay, well, maybe they, their leaves are bad and I need to trim them up. And so, I tried everything. I tried giving them extra compost. I tried giving them some compost tea. I tried giving them some tomato tone. I tried giving them extra water. I tried giving them less water. I tried giving them some Epsom salt. I tried doing some potassium. I tried everything, and they all died. All but 2 of the 16 tomatoes that I was growing here died. So just these 2. So then what I did is I said, well, maybe there was something wrong with my tomatoes. Maybe it was because we got that frost and they got damaged and they just didn't recover. So I went and bought 2 tomatoes down at the greenhouse. It was these 2 tomatoes right here. One of them is a Black Beauty, I think, and one is a Cherokee Purple and the other one is a Black Beauty. And this is what my Cherokee Purple looks like. And it has been planted out here for over a month. Like, it's been out here for a long time. And the first thing that happened was the leaves all kind of shriveled up like this, where they all kind of died. And then all the leaves started to get shrivelly like this. And the same thing happened on this plant, on this one. But this one seems to have recovered. And so I really don't know what happened, okay? So then I went to Walmart and I got 2 more small plants because I was like, maybe they were too big, okay? Maybe they were too big. And that area of the garden gets full sun almost all day. And so I was like, well, maybe it's too much sun, It's pretty warm, maybe it was too much sun. So I got 2 plants and I put them over here. And this is what happened over here. So this area of the garden gets like 6 to 8 hours of sun and then is shaded the rest of the day. And still, this is what this one looks like. And then here's the other one. And this is what the other one looks like. Sorry, I'm trying to get out of the light so you can see it. So needless to say, I think that something's wrong with the soil. But it's kind of weird because these 2 are fine. Like, they were sickly. They looked horrible. They didn't look healthy. I thought that they were going to die. I moved them from that side of the garden down here, or maybe I moved them from there to here. I don't remember which direction, but I moved them to this spot. And then they seem to have recovered. But if you look, parts of the plants still look just like that plant over there. But they have started to set fruit. And so I'm just really not sure. I stopped pruning them. I was like, okay, I'm not going to prune them at all. I'm going to let them figure out what's happening with life. I've tied them up a couple of times. This like needs to be tied up a little bit more. And I'm just like letting it go to see what happens. The other thing that is weird, and the reason that it makes me think that there might be something wrong with the compost, is because if you talk to Jess or listen to any of Jess's videos about her compost from Roots and Refuge, she talks about how beans are one of the first indicators that there's something wrong with the soil. So when all of those tomatoes died, I hadn't watched that video yet. Jess hadn't done anything in the video. And so I planted all of these runner beans here because I was like, well, I've got to use the trellis. And these beans, I don't know, most of you have probably planted green beans before, okay? Green beans grow so fast. And these runner beans have been out here for 6 weeks. Like, this is 6 weeks from when they sprouted. Because it's July 17th, I believe. And I planted these in June, like the first week of June or second week of June. And yeah, so, 5 weeks at least that these have been out here. And I soaked the beans first, so they sprouted pretty quickly. And then, look, they've got curled leaves. They're not putting out tendrils. Like, they don't even have second leaves. I mean, the leaves feel weird. I don't know. They're just not good. And so I'm thinking that there must be something wrong. But you know what is doing well over here? The squash. My onions, that I started every single onion from seed. And they look incredible. The cucumbers are starting to do okay. And the cucumbers kind of struggled in the heat because by the time I finally got them planted, it was pretty hot out here. But these tomatoes up here don't have any problems. But they're in the raised bed. So this is a Roma tomato. And I put it in a cage because I've never planted in a cage before. And I've got some sage down here. And then tons and tons of marigolds. And then these are my beans, my pole beans. No, these are not pole beans. These are bush beans. And then this is a homestead tomato, which it did have some struggles at the very beginning too, and it's recovering. But the Roma tomatoes have been perfectly fine. And I can't remember what this tomato is. I'm pretty sure I had a sign down here, but it all got lost. But look at how amazing these tomatoes are. Oh, this Roma has been so prolific. This is definitely a tomato that I will grow every single year. I freaking love it. I don't think that I'm going to have very good luck with cherry tomatoes this year, which is kind of sad because they're my favorite, but it is what it is and it's fine. And then you can see here that I have a couple more zinnias. My nasturtium just started to bloom. I've got some dill, more carrots. This is my main pepper bed. And then I'm growing some edamame for the first time, which is pretty exciting. And then over here are my beets, my zucchini, and my other broccoli bed. And then this is borage. If you've never seen borage before, it's one of those things that I kept reading about and hearing things about and seeing on videos about how you don't really plant it for yourself, even though it's edible. You plant it for the pollinators, and it really has been a huge hit. I would recommend that you plant it around anything that needs help being pollinated. So squash, watermelons, any kind of melons, anything like that. You can see here's my zucchini in here. And then these are my beets. They're looking a little wilty because it's so hot today. But they're growing really well. You can see growing a nice little beet root there. And then this is the rest of my broccoli and some flowers. And I've got a few zinnias back here. And then this is my drying out the leaves pile. So guys, that's the end of the garden tour. I'm kind of hoping that I'll be able to do this more often. If there's anything about my garden that you guys would like to see specifically, any questions that you have, anything that you would like to talk to me about, like I would love to talk to you. To discuss things, to go over things. This year is really a learning year for me. Last year was my first year gardening. This year is my second year gardening, and I feel like I've done things a lot better this year, but I also struggled with things this year that I didn't struggle with last year. So things like with the tomatoes, I feel like it's been a hotter summer than it was last year, and so I've had to do some supplemental watering that I didn't have to do last year. And then I grew so many other things this year. I feel like last year all I grew was lettuce, some tomatoes that never ripened, And then zucchini. Like, I feel like that's all I grew last year. And this year I'm growing so much stuff that I'm like, I don't know what the heck I'm going to do with half of this. And so if you guys have any cool recipes in mind, if there's anything that you think that I should know that you know, like, I would love to talk to you. Leave a comment down below, or you can even hit me up on my Twitter. You can hit me up on Instagram. And if you're in my Discord, you can chat with me there. Okay, well, I love you guys so much, and talk to you later. Bye!